and absolutely what I want. Hello, everyone. Again, real talk, real people. We are here. We are live, and we have people in the building. I'd like to go ahead and thank you all for being here. Again, um, it is a crazy year. Um, absolutely. This year has taken a lot from a lot of people, and that's an understatement. Truly is. It is an understatement because what we're faced with at this time is something that doesn't necessarily compute on a whole bunch of different levels. It doesn't necessarily compute. What we're going to be doing is looking at this, as the title suggests, George Floyd and America in all angles. Okay. So, again, we're going to be respectful of one another. Again, I've received questions pertaining to what's going on, what's been going on. We'll be going over those. We'll be having people on. We'll be having panelists on, people that want to just get something off their chest pertaining to this, people that want to discuss the ins and outs of this. We'll be respectful of everyone up here, right? We'll also be, um, we will be considerate of others as well, because that is paramount. Okay. It is paramount. Um, I mean, what more should we or do we have to say pertaining to that? So let us start. Let us begin and let this all take hold, take measure. Okay. All right. So, what we have here at this time, we're going to go ahead and look at the situation. Now, I've debated with myself if I would actually play the footage. Um, I am not a fan of snuff films, not at all. I think it does psychological damage to people. Okay. I think it does a huge amount of damage to people's psyche. We think about the times when they wouldn't show murders and deaths of people on the TV, right? But there's been a ever increasing growing trend that other people's deaths are censored, but the lives of black men and in particular black folks in general in this society, it is something that's paraded, and you don't even get a viewer discretion advised or a graphic warning. They just put it up there. Seeing black bodies hit the ground um, is a situation that um, yes, it is a situation that has taken hold. Just one of the panelists, and that's kind of um, the sort of sad situation that we have. Now, let's take a look at the cause of all this, right? Let's take a look at the man, because before anything else, we have to give reverence and we have to discuss the man. Briefly, who he was, Mr. George Floyd. You think there'd be a Wikipedia page on him? And I don't know. I don't think I should show the footage. I think we've all seen it enough. We don't need to be reminded of it. Um, so I don't think that's going to be necessary. So I'm not going to do that unless it's in one of these particular videos and such. I'm just not going to do that. I tried to find a nice picture of him, something presentable. So it says, This is how loved ones want us to remember George Floyd. And this is going to segue into something that happens so often. Let's get into it. George Floyd moved to Minnesota for a fresh start, an opportunity to better himself and to be a better father. And while so many now know the Houston native by his full name, he does look good in that suit, you're right. His full name, those who knew him best called him Floyd. He worked security at a restaurant where he developed a reputation. Anderson, apologize for that. He developed a reputation as someone who had your back and was there for you when you were down. Knowing my brother is to love my brother. Philonus Floyd, George's brother. He's a gentle giant. He don't hurt anybody. Floyd, 46 years old. Died Monday in the city he moved to for a better life. His last moments caught on video. While being arrested, Floyd was held down by a Minneapolis police officer's knee. The video shows Floyd pleading that he is in pain and can't breathe. Then his eyes shut and the pleas stop. He was announced dead shortly after. The officer, Derek Chauvin, was arrested on Friday, today, and faces charges of third-degree murder and manslaughter, according to Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman. He was a coachable kid with a big heart. This is, I guess, his high school and basketball coach, their comments. Floyd grew up in Houston's 3rd Ward neighborhood and graduated with from Jack Yates High School, where he played football and basketball, according to CNN affiliate KPRC. After high school, head basketball coach George Walker recruited Floyd to play for him at South Florida State College in Avon Park, Florida. Floyd was a student there from 1993 to 1995, Walker told CNN. He didn't give me too much trouble as a basketball coach. He was a pretty good athlete, averaged 12 to 14 points a game. Floyd was a coachable kid with a big heart, according to Walker's wife, Gloria. Of all the college athletes of the school's team, she said Floyd had her attention the most because he was just a fun person to be around. He was never one that tried to blame others for his own mistakes, she said. He always owned up to them and always tried to do better. He was trying to be a better father. He moved to Minnesota for work and to drive trucks, according to friend and former NBA player Steven Jackson. Jackson, a Houston native, also calls Floyd his twin. This is what Steven Jackson said. I've heard George in the last couple of days more than I've heard my whole life. We had a 21-year plus relationship, Jackson told CNN's Poppy Harlow. His name was always Floyd, my twin. Twin couldn't wait to tell me he moved to Minnesota to work and drive trucks. He knew he had to relocate to be his best self. His heart was in the right place. Rest easy, bro. We gonna hold it down. Your voice. Hold it down, your voice. All we talked about was growing and kids. Love to all who have love for all. Floyd was known in the community as a protector and provider who didn't have a hateful bone in his body. He got along with everybody and seldom wanted anything in return for helping someone out. The difference between me and bro was I had more opportunity than he did, who won a championship at San Antonio Spurs in 2003. Two things we have in common, both from the bottom, and both of our names will live forever. Once Floyd moved to Minnesota, Jackson said Floyd talked at great length about his journey to create better opportunities for himself. The last time I talked to him was about a year ago. Every conversation he had in that year was about bettering ourselves and being better fathers, Jackson said. That's all he talked about. Floyd is the father of 2 daughters. The youngest is 6, according to Jackson. I want justice for his kids, he said. I want his kids to be taken care of. Their father is not here. Jackson vows to support his French children to fill in for Floyd and said he wants to make sure they are provided for. In Houston, Rose Hudson, who dated Floyd more than 20 years ago, said that her and Floyd had a daughter who is now a mother of a toddler. My daughter had to see her daddy get killed on live TV, Hudson said. Floyd hadn't met his 3-year-old granddaughter, according to Hudson. I would just let her know what a great guy he was, she said. He was a good father to his girls. I just have memories, that's all I can give her, memories of her grandfather. Floyd worked security at Conga Latin Bistro in Minneapolis for 5 years, according to the owner, Giovanni Thunstrom. Even though he was Thunstrom's employee, the pair were also friends. He was loved by all my employees and customers, Thunstrom told. I was looking at the video and I said, that can't be Floyd. But later it just blew out. It was Floyd, and that's when it hit me. It hit me hard. Floyd will help clean up after the bar had closed and was a very nice guy and really good with the customers. He stood up for people. He was there for people when they were down. He loved people that were thrown away, Courtney Ross, Floyd's other half, told. We prayed over every meal. We prayed if we were having a hard time. We prayed if we were having a good time. People who didn't know Floyd are outraged too. Anger over Floyd's death goes beyond his family and friends, and a number of celebrities have reacted to the incident. LeBron James shared a side-by-side photo of Instagram. One side, you can see a screen grab from an encounter between Floyd and the police, and the photo on the left is a Minnesota police officer's knee can be seen on Floyd's neck. In the scene on the right is an image of San Francisco quarterback Colin Kaepernick kneeling in protest during the national anthem for preseason football in 2016. At the time, Kaepernick had said he would not honor a song nor show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses Black people or people of color. James post is accompanied by the caption, "Do you understand now, or is it still blurred to you? Stay woke." That's a very powerful image. That's tough to see. That's tough to look at. His family thinks police didn't do enough to help him. The Minnesota National Guard activated more than 500 soldiers in St. Paul's, Minneapolis, and surrounding communities because of the increase in demonstrations in the area, according to Tweet Thursday night. Protests have occurred and are ongoing in the cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Phoenix, Denver, Louisville, Memphis, Columbus. There'll also be a demonstration in Tampa on Sunday. I'll show you all the flyer for that. Some of the protests have been peaceful while others have been destructive. Though the 4 Minneapolis officers involved in Floyd's death were fired, his family members said that's not enough. They want to see all the officers charged with murder. They were supposed to be there to serve and protect. I didn't see a single one of them lift a finger to do anything to help while he was begging for his life. Not one of them tried to do anything to help him, Tara Brown, Floyd's cousin, said. So, as you can see, Floyd was a good dude, man. Didn't deserve to die the way he did. Did not deserve to die the way he did. No one deserves to die like that. And that's the crux of the problem. You know, good on CNN for once, you know, doing some heartfelt facts. You know what I'm saying? Do some heartfelt fact checking and actually that this was a nice piece to read. Okay. Very nice piece to read. What I've seen, I'm about to turn up. I can't help it. I'm about to turn up. What I've seen growing up, I've seen a lot of things, but I remember specifically during the Trayvon Martin killing and murder, I remember that was the first time that I had noticed the media, the police department doing a spin job trying to assassinate the character of a dead person. And maybe it was happening before, but I never noticed it until then. And I consistently saw a pattern. There's so many patterns. Ahmaud Arbery is an example. See, if a black man unjustly dies, to save the killer, they try to assassinate the character of a dead man. It's almost, in all of these cases, it seems like that's procedure. Something like that should never be procedure. Okay, we're going to court. We can't settle out of court. Okay, release this footage. We think this is going to be in our favor. You know what? Yeah, he died. Okay. Yeah, he died. But you know what? He was charged with shoplifting. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Okay, hold on. Yeah, he died. But he will pose with guns on Facebook and wads of money. Yeah, no, Yeah, he died. But he was a thug. Yeah, he died. But he shouldn't have been illegally selling cigarettes. Yeah, he died. He didn't show me his ID being in the passenger seat when I stopped him for a broken tail light. Yeah, he died. But he should have stopped when I told him to stop. I didn't know he was jogging. I thought he was running away from the scene of a crime. I thought he was a burglar. I feared for my life. Yeah, he died. But this bullshit reason is justification. Fuck that. See, all of these deaths, as I said in my post the other day, this shit gets personal. This shit gets real personal. See, I, like many other brothers, grew up having to acquiesce to society. I couldn't go out the house without brushing and combing my hair because my father would worry about if I looked too threatening. I wasn't able to wear jackets with hoods, and I'm from Chicago, because I look like I might be a suspect. I know a lot of brothers feel me on this. I had to walk around and smile and not mean mug and not just feel my feelings to make other people feel motherfucking comfortable. I go to work. People don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to use intermediaries because they don't even know me, but they perceive me to be a threat. They perceive me to be problematic to the point where I have managers articulating the thoughts of others because they don't feel comfortable enough talking to me, when I've never given anyone a reason to think anything less of me. A lot of black folks, man or woman, children live dual lives. They can't be themselves from 8, from 7 to 4, 7 to 5, 8 to 6 p.m. while they're at work. They've got to put on this mask. They've got to change their voice. They've got to sound not as threatening, because we don't want to cause any issues, any problems. We want to seem approachable. We want to definitely do everything that we can to make everyone else feel better at our expense, at the expense of our sanity, at the expense of our spirit, at the expense of the physical strain that it puts on a person's body and heart and soul and mind each and every day to be recognized as not a threat. Racism, white supremacy, prejudice, that shit kills me. That shit kills the brothers and sisters out here, the children, the elderly. You ever look at an elderly person's face, elderly brother's face, elderly sister's face, a grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, a mother, and a father, and you see the fatigue in their face? They may have gotten 10 hours of sleep, but the fatigue of the life that they live is insurmountable. I want to live in a world where I can be myself without it coming into conflict with the comfortability of someone else. My existence, your existence, our existence is a threat. It has been, and conceivably always will be, until things change, until this society changes, whether it needs to be dismantled or if it can even be saved. Things need to change. And marching ain't going to do it. It ain't going to do it. The only reason it worked in the 60s and 70s and things of that nature, 90s, not even 90s, in those civil rights days, is because it was backed by a community that stood with one another, stood for each other, that wouldn't let anything happen to their brother, their sister. That's why we call each other brother or sister. That harkens back all the way back to the times we first got over here, or been over here, depending on what you believe, and even back to the continent. We've always been family. See, I'm not looking for excuses. We don't want excuses no more. No more. We don't want that. What we need is action. What we want is action. What we want is change. What we need is change. And there are ways to go about this in a way that they can understand. But I will say this. There will be the days of for getting a check, a settlement outside of court. Those days are done. Those days are done. That ain't going to do it. The fact that this officer was finally charged and arrested after 3 days or more because shit got tore up. Come on now. Come on. Come on now. Yeah. Had said it very clearly. I couldn't agree more. But why, and that's the question, why would someone feel so emboldened to think that they can commit a murder in broad daylight in front of everybody and think nothing was going to happen. Why is that? Could it be that he's a racist? Absolutely could be that. Could it be the system that he is a part of that is racist? Absolutely. Could it be that this climate that we're in this country and these laws and this double standard, these two Americas, could that be something that has emboldened a lot of these people out here to trample on your rights, literally on your neck? And then where have we gotten as a society where we will watch and record a man die? A person asking for help. And because we are so scared or we lack empathy to or heart to move and to act. Could there have been a citizen's arrest of that officer? Now, I'm not telling you to do anything that will put you in harm's way, but even if one person helped, that's two people beat up and two people arrested, but one man would still be alive. That man would be able to go home to his daughters. That man would have been able to see his grandchild. That man would have been able to live his life. 46. 46. When Kanye said, I wasn't supposed to make it past 25, joke's on you, I'm still alive. I know all y'all felt that. Okay? I know all y'all felt that. There's a lot at play here. This isn't going to be the first time, and it isn't going to be the last. But what it needs to be for us, those that care about people's rights being trampled on, those that care about each other's fellow man, those that care about the law, those that care about what America actually stands for, there's things we've got work to do. We've got work to do. It seems like I'm touching on everything, and I'm going to touch on everything. I'll bring people on, but I need to have this moment to dive into this. You know what? I'm hot right now. I'm hot because I've talked to a few people. I've gotten messages of women crying, worrying about their sons and their children. I've got women and men worried about doing everyday things. This man died over a counterfeit $20 bill that he may not even have known was counterfeit. No one will ever know. In his city that he moved to, in his area. See, we can look at how all this happened. Had he not had a $20 bill, counterfeit $20 bill, this wouldn't have happened. Had the clerk not called the police on him, because it's a $20 bill. It wasn't $100. It was a $20 counterfeit bill, or whatever denomination of money it is. There's no reason that someone had to die over that. And see, people know that. Just like that Karen that called the police and said that she felt her life was being threatened because she wasn't obeying the leash law in New York. Damn near choked the dog out, but didn't want to be wrong. Didn't want to prove to be wrong. So what is the go-to? I'm going to call the police. Because you know what? There's a good chance he may not make it out alive. These people use the police as a hit squad on black people, on native blacks, African Americans, if you will. And not only to that point, but people feel emboldened enough to make citizens arrests upon people, take their lives, and not expect a lick of 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 recompense or anything. See, I think we made a mistake in the 60s. We shouldn't have been fighting for civil rights. We should have been fighting for human rights. Because I'm believing, just like a lot of my betters and my elders are believing, that America does not believe we're even human. America is a place where you can get stopped for a tail light or on suspicion and not go home at the end of that stop. America is a place where you can't even jog outside, out front. Crazy, ludicrous, insane. It's truly insanity. Truly insanity. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find this because this is too good. This is too good. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Shout out to Chiquita Life. I'm gonna read this. We can't go jogging. Ahmaud Arbery. We can't relax in the comfort of our own homes. Botham Jean and Atiana Jefferson. We can't ask for help after being in a car crash. Jonathan Farrell, Renisha McBride. We can't have a cell phone. Stephen Clark. We can't leave a party to get to safety. Jordan Edwards. We can't play loud music. Jordan Davis. We can't sell CDs. Alton Sterling. We can't sleep. Ayanna Jones. We can't walk from the corner store. Mike Brown. We can't play cops and robbers. Tamir Rice. We can't go to church. The Charleston Nine. We can't walk home with Skittles. Trayvon Martin. We can't hold a hairbrush while leaving our own bachelor party. Sean Bell. We can't party on New Year's. Oscar Grant. We can't get a normal traffic ticket. Sandra Bland. We can't lawfully carry a weapon. Philando Castile. The Second Amendment doesn't exist for black folks. We can't break on a public road with car problems. We can't shop at Walmart. Corey Jones, John Crawford. We can't have a disabled vehicle. Terrence Crutcher. We can't read a book in our own car. Keith Scott. We can't be a 10-year-old walking around with our grandfather. Clifford Glover. We can't decorate for a party. Claude Reese. We can't ask a cop a question. Randy Evans. We can't cash our check in peace. Yvonne Smallwood. We can't take out our wallet. Amdal Diallo. We can't run. Walter Scott. We can't breathe. Eric Garner. We can't live. Freddie Gray. We're tired of making hashtags, tired of trying to convince you that Black Lives Matter too, tired of dying. I thought that was a great summation of what we're looking at. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do, since I do have someone that wants to come on and I think they have to go pretty soon. So let me see if I can get them the link, because there's a couple questions that need to be asked and just some perspectives. And you know what? I think I'll expound on this a bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and bring people on if they want to come on. Let's do that. I had to get that out. Because, see, that's important. And I'm nowhere close to being done. But I want to be conscientious of people's time. And everybody deserves to be able to speak. And everybody deserves to be able to talk. Everyone. And we're going to talk about some different things. So one of the things we're going to talk about is this. So this is a different angle. This is going to be angle, we'll call this angle 1. This is angle 1. I completely agree. Hey, sorry, I went. I'll be back on in 30 if you're still. Yeah, I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna be on for a little minute. So come back. You got the link, so just come back on and I'll add you. Thanks for coming in, and I guess we'll address your questions too when you come back. No worries. So let's take a look at this shocking revelation. George Floyd and Officer Derek Chauvin worked security at the same Minneapolis club up to the end of last year. Published yesterday at 9:22 p.m. This is a really shocking revelation. And it is shocking. Fired Officer Derek Chauvin and George Floyd worked at the same South Minneapolis club as security guards up to the end of last year. On Monday, police officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd during the arrest of passing a bad $20 bill. $20 bill. Okay. This is a significant development. KSTP reported a former club owner in South Minneapolis says the now fired police officer and the black man who died in his custody this week both worked security for her club up to the end of last year. George Floyd and now former officer Derek Chauvin both worked security at El Nuevo Rodeo Club on Lake Street, according to Maya Santa Maria. Santa Maria owned the building for nearly 2 decades, but sold the venue within the last few months. Chauvin was our off-duty police for almost the entirety of the 17 years that we were open. They were working together at the same time. It just hit that Chauvin worked outside and the security guards were inside. 5 investigators have reached out to Chauvin's attorney in the Minneapolis Police Department, but they cannot be reached for comment at this time. The story has been published. Although 2 overlap working security on popular music nights within the last year, Santa Maria cannot say for certain that they knew each other because they were often a couple double security guards, including off-duty officers. Santa Maria says that she did not recognize either one of her security guards in the video showing Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck, not far from where they used to work. This is a different angle. There's a possibility. It's not proven, but there's a possibility this man knew who he was. And there's a possibility that Mr. Floyd knew who he was. Possibility. Based on the interactions in the tape, doesn't sound like Mr. Floyd knew who he was. But perhaps Mr. Chauvin knew. Well, I'm not going to call him Mr. Chauvin. We're going to Derek. Perhaps Derek knew. You don't get salutations. You do not. So that's angle 1, and I appreciate that. That was supplied by one of my good, I would say, good friend, good acquaintance, Faye Bishop. Check her out. Great YouTube channel. Okay. All right. And let's see here. I want to take a look at and shout out to Hatch, Brandon Hatch. I agree. Action, not distraction. Absolutely. See, there's a lot of subterfuge going on, a lot of distractions going on, right? And I'm sure we're going to get into that when he gets back and other people get on. If you do want to get on and voice your opinion about this, um, let me know in the comments. Send a comment. Just let me know, and I will send you the link, and we can go on and you can talk about. We can have a dialogue here or have a group discussion because I know a lot of you feel some type of way about this, one way or another. Absolutely, I know I do, but I'm trying to stay as balanced as I can for everyone else. But there gets a point when people keep fucking with you, right? People won't stop fucking with you. And then, America's one of the only places where a person can instigate a confrontation and then say, I was afraid for my life. See, where do they do that at? Right? Where do they do that at? Where you can, I mean, black men are just let's call it like it is. Some of black men are some of people's favorite scapegoats. That's what it boils down to. Scapegoating. Scapegoating. So I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to bring up a couple of images here. In regards to that march that I was referring to, this is the march. You guys can march if you want. I don't think it does shit. I mean, if you're really trying to put money where your mouth is, all those soldiers out there, and by soldiers, I mean those patriots. And by patriots, I mean those people fighting for injustice and solidarity. We need to look out for them. If these people get arrested, we need to bail them out. We need to put money on their books. We need to protect our soldiers. We need to protect those out there that would fight for us, that take the risk for us. That's March 31st, Sunday afternoon, Tampa. March for Justice at the Tampa Police Department District 3-2 headquarters. Wear a mask. Yeah, I would definitely wear a mask. And this is the interesting thing. This is why I don't think marching is the way. Because I think it's good we're showing solidarity, but we got to put our money where our mouth is. If we're really trying to change this, it would be done. You know what I'm saying? If society wanted to change the way black people are handled, then it would be done. We need to lobby. We need to do a lot of things as black folks. Okay? Quite a few things. But with these marches, it can easily turn into a riot and a looting situation. Now, I want to make this very clear, and this is why I'm going to bring this up. My issue, and let me pull up my Facebook, because Facebook likes deleting stuff. They love it, actually. They like making you feel or think like you crazy. Let me see here. Come on, where you at? Okay, so let's go ahead and post. Hold on. So this video came to me last night, like mid morning, or last early this morning. So I definitely want to show it to you guys. Let me do this. There we go. And let me do this. So what you're about to witness is video proof that the protesters didn't start the violence in Minneapolis and is actually actively being censored. This has been taken down. This person that's causing this property damage, that's inciting riots, these are agent provocateurs, or in other words, these are agents, these are police, could be FBI. Watch for yourself. I zoomed in. I'll zoom out a little bit. Those cops will come for you for doing that crap. I just came with a hammer and smashed the window. You wanna go? What's up? Somebody hold my blood. Hey, somebody hold my blood. Hey. You wanted the smoke. You wanted the smoke. So you're looking at that and you're like, okay, so what's the big deal? How can you tell that is an agent, FBI, whatnot? Okay. Let's see who the man is behind the mask, because that's going to be very important here. Let's see who the man is behind the mask. And the man behind the mask is... Oh, we're saying names. Fuck it. We're saying names. May I present to you a Mr. Jacob Pedersen of the St. Paul Police Department. This fine gentleman is the same man that was causing the property damage and was helping to incite riots and this sort of attitude and purveyance. Yep. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. What a great guy. What a great guy, man. Just doing what he can. So let's see. Holy shit. The cop who started vandalizing was outed by people who know him. His name is Jacob Pedersen of the St. Paul Police Department. It's so obvious he's up to no good. One, he's got an umbrella. Then he has a hammer to smash out windows. And third, a gas mask. He does seem pretty prepared. But how do we know? Like, what's the deal? How do we know that's him? Well, apparently his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife and a few others actually outed him. Confirmed. So what does this tell you? Look at this comment by the guy that posted this fast guy on Instagram. I'm going to leave this here. We the people don't just loot. We won't even hit these cops when they're killing us. Cops stage lootings. The media knows this and says nothing. What they will say is it was black people. So more restrictive laws can be mandated. Yeah. And see, there's this kooky, crazy, disgusting narrative that these people are looters, and why are they looting? And they're rioters, and they need to be shot. They need to be arrested. All these different things. See, when black folks and others that stand with them stand up for their rights, they're thugs, they're rioters, they're looters. But when white folks do the exact same thing, they're patriots. They're fine people, fine young men and women. The inconsistencies are glaring. I don't even need to get into it. But this is something that should be noted and should be regarded. Because again, these are what we call agent provocateurs. They are there to incite and push a narrative and do all these different things, horrible things, and make it seem like it's the people. There's a lot of these, and it's going to be a lot more of these. And that's why marching is cool and fine, but we need to put the money behind our actions. We need to stand with each other. We need to lobby. We need to do all these different things. We need to change these things. And actually, I've got a plan that I'll be rolling out pretty soon that I want everybody else to have input on, and us create a code for dealing with things in every capacity within the community. I'll be reaching out to each person individually to get that squared away. And then we'll get the code going and start from there. Again, this is what it's going to take. Nothing less than being on code. So that's just something that we need to recognize and be cognizant of. Okay. So let's take a look at another picture here. Counter protests, right? NYPD Police Department. I can breathe. I don't rightly know when this picture was taken. I don't know if this was from a previous incident or something that, was the last night or the other night. But this is just in bad taste, right? What kind of shit is that? It's disgusting. It's gross. And then let's take a look at another glaring inconsistency. Muhammad Noor fired one shot and accidentally killed a white woman. He was sentenced to 12.5 years. Same city and police force in Minneapolis. Derek Chauvin left his knee on the neck of a black man who had stopped resisting arrest until the man died. He wasn't even resisting arrest in the first place. Think they'll get similar time? Let's find out. We should really look at that. We should really look at that. But you know what I think is good? Let's hear from Floyd. Let's see what Floyd was about.
I just woke up, man. Just saw my old girl Nikki from South Carolina lost her son, man. Our young generation is clearly lost, man. Clearly lost, man. Like I don't even know what to say no more, man.
Hold on.
My old girl Nikki from South Carolina lost her son, man. Our young generation is clearly lost, man. Clearly lost, man.
Damn.
Like I don't even know what to say no more, man. Like you youngsters just going around just busting guns in crowds, kids getting killed, and it's clearly the generation after us, man. It's so lost, man. Man, I came into Houston and the nigga told me, yeah, Floyd, that young nigga the truth, man, right there, because he could bust a gun. Man, I knew it was crazy. Then a nigga my age saying this here, man. You know what I'm saying? And condoning this shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like half the young niggas shooting them guns go home and they knees shaking at night. But they don't show it to nobody because, they ain't tough dead. Hey, man, come on home, man. One day it's going to be you and God. You going up or you going down. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be it. And any nigga don't like this message, especially nigga my age, man, fuck you right now. My heart hurt.
He's a real dude. Floyd was a real dude. He was nothing if not a real dude. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you can characterize, bro, this man. He's over there telling you right then and there, without any mixed words, he doesn't support this gun violence. He doesn't support this black folks killing other black folks. These young dudes out here letting it go, letting it fly. He wants these kids, these young adults, to choose and do things better. That man didn't deserve to die. That man didn't deserve to die. Whether you're Mr. Floyd or whether you're that gentleman that was only bird watching in the park that got called the police called on him by Karen. It don't matter if you are from Cross Bush or you're from PG County. It doesn't matter if you are part of Jack and Jill or you're part of the Bloods or the Crips or the GDs. It don't matter. You're black at the end of the day. Doesn't matter if you're white, you're Hispanic, you're Asian, whoever, whatever. If you are with a black person there and you have children, they're going to be black. They're going to have to deal with this stuff. And I got to give kudos out to those that do fight for the rights of black folks, whether they're black or anything else. You know what I'm saying? Especially, people have an idea or they think they have an idea, but they really don't have an idea until they have a child that's black and they realize, oh shit, we need to change this shit. Because you know what? I love this child of mine. And it's sad to think that my life is going to be so much easier than my child's just based off the color of their skin. That shit is crazy. That shit is crazy. And a lot of the activists, a lot of the black advocates, a lot of them are mixed race people throughout history. You look at Malcolm X, you look at there's a whole bunch. Malcolm X was one. Who was I guess you could say Frederick Douglass, because I think his dad was black. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his dad was white. It's throughout the whole scene. But we all need to fight for our own rights. Because as I say all the time, each generation has to fight for their rights. We can't just say, you know what, our great grandparents and our grandparents fought in the 60s. That's cool. We're done fighting. No. They fought so we could fight. The fight will be easier for us, but it will never be over until we change the system. Okay? I don't want any of my friends, the people I grew up with, to have to worry about their children growing up and having to deal with this bullshit. Having to worry about if they're a threat. And it starts as their children. The marginalization of the boys and the women and the girls growing up in schools, putting them in special classes, and they don't even need to be in special classes, saying they're hyperactive and saying they're all these different things, knowing that these kids are just kids. Why are black kids looked at as less than human? Why are they looked at as hyperactive, hypermasculine, even the little girls are looked at as hypermasculine, like they can take care of themselves. This persona that we have as black folks, it is shaped by our environment. To our core, to our spirit, we are amazing. And honestly, this revolution that is to come, it should have been happened. But you know what? I do believe epigenetic memory is a real thing. And for those that don't know what that is experiences get passed down into your DNA and they're encoded in your DNA. Traumas, good feelings are encoded into your DNA. The fear of snakes is thought to be an epigenetic memory. How people are just adverse to snakes. So I think all those years of those hard lives, the murders, the rapes, the atrocities, that can, and I believe it is, ingrained in the DNA. And I think Black folks have a very specific challenge, because not only do they need to deal with the bullshit and get clear and get exercise all the demons that they deal with on a daily basis, but we are beholden to exercise all of the negative energy in the past experiences of our ancestors. That's within us. Okay? We can't just do it for ourselves. We got to do it for them. Because that's the only way all of us are going to be free. Mentally, spiritually, physically. We got to get rid of that. And it will be done. Make no mistake. It will all be done. Without a doubt. It just depends on if we have the will. And I believe we do. If we can tolerate this bullshit for as long as we have, then I believe in my heart that we have the tenacity to overcome any sort of challenge that comes our way. But what is something we gotta let go? We gotta let go. And I hate to say it. We need to go into our own. We need to take care of ourselves. No one else is going to do it. We need to aggregate political power. We need to aggregate wealth and currency. We need to aggregate human capital. We need to aggregate quite a few things. We need to look out for one another. If something happens to one of us, we need to ride for each other regardless. Now, when the dust settles, if it was on some bullshit, we'll deal with our own. But we can't let things continue to be as they are. We need to focus on the education and foundation of our children so that they grow up knowing and believing that their lives matter, that they're worth a damn. That is so important. We cannot underscore how important that is for our children. We need to do that. Our children are supposed to be the better versions of us. And in some respects, we are better than our predecessors. But in a lot of respects, we have let them down. We've let ourselves down. And we can do so much better. And we will do better. That's a fact. That's a bet. They need to be better than us. Because if we don't make them better than us, then we'll become just another negative energy that gets latched on to our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. And they will eventually, hopefully, Lord willing, have to clear all that negative energy upon themselves and all of ours. We got to break the cycle, everyone. I don't condone looting. In this situation, and I'm going to be really raw here, I shouldn't see no nigga out here, male or female, anybody, white, Hispanic, but especially none of my people looting. No motherfucking Target, no motherfucking stores. I should not see that shit because you're dishonoring this man's memory. And this is what this is about. George Floyd is a catalyst, is one of many catalysts. His life matters. But just because a few businesses burn down, that doesn't delegitimize the life of Mr. Floyd. It just highlights how fed up Black people are. That we can't seem to get any motherfucking justice in a place that's supposed to be predicated upon fair treatment. That's an issue. And see, that's why you're seeing places get burned up, rioted, police vehicles get fucked up. There's energy here. There's so much energy. And that needs to be directed in a constructive way. I don't want to see none of my people on TV looting. Let everyone else loot and let their ass get locked up. Let their ass get tripped out. They'll probably get hit with a slap on the wrist, if anything. You don't want to die over no TV. You don't want to have lung problems from inhaling tear gas or all these other noxious fumes. You don't want to get stabbed by some white supremacist in a wheelchair that pretends like they can't walk, but is trying to stop looters and lets all the white, Hispanic, and Asian people leave, but tries to stab you. That shit happened. That's real. There's a lady. I'll play that audio. Let me find that audio. Let me find that video. That shit was crazy. She was trying to play the victim, and she's over there stabbing people, only black people, with a knife in a motherfucking electric wheelchair. I can't make this shit up. I cannot make this shit up. This is some of the most ghetto shit deplorable shit I've ever seen in my life. And then wants to play the motherfucking victim. I'm tired of these motherfuckers trying to play the victim. That shit irks me. That shit is crazy. Unreal. Let me find that shit. That was crazy. Tried to play the motherfucking victim. Old bitch. Let me see if I can find that shit. I can't find it. I'm gonna find that shit. Y'all got to see the shit to believe it. And I know a lot of you've seen it. See, these people out here defending businesses that aren't even theirs. They just out there to get into some shit. You got the motherfucking ops out trying to pretend like these are motherfucking ops right here. Oh man, fuck that. Excuse my language. I wanted this to be family friendly, and I apologize if there are any children listening to this. I'll have to edit that out later. Let me see here. Lady in wheelchair stabbing. It's just crazy. Yeah, fuck this shit. Sorry guys. This got me hot. Sorry. Okay. Her lying ass. Okay. Look at this lying old bitch. Edna. Special Edna. And she ain't even special. She can walk. Look at this craziness. Oh my god. Well, that's at the highest, so look at this. It's ridiculous. Just coming out here to start trouble. And people are looking at the people that are whooping her ass like they're the savages. This bitch came out here with a motherfucking knife to stab black people. And I'm glad this guy blew the extinguisher in her face. She out here stabbing people. Jennifer, is that enough? Look at her, got the knife. Y'all see the knife? Don't hide the shit. Stabbing people. Look out, all these looters can go, but stabbing the black ones. Knock that bitch out. Peaceful. She's stabbing people. There's nothing peaceful about that. Look at this cosign bullshit. You were stabbing people. Yeah, your ass shouldn't have been out there. And look, that's her ass walking. She's not handicapped. Walks just fine. The shit's a con. Fucking stabbing black people. What kind of shit is that? Target didn't ask her to do that. Now, what if she had stabbed someone and they bled to death in Target? Oh, well, they shouldn't have been there. Fuck all that. That's the type of inconsistencies. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. People want to instigate. People want to be where they shouldn't be, and then want to play the motherfucking victim. Thank God for cameras. Thank God for cameras. Let's see what else I got. Against my better judgment, I'm going to put the link in the chat too. And actually, I'll be leaving in a little bit here. Well, I got an hour. If you want to join the chat, look at the link in the comments. And if I know you, I will bring you on so we can discuss this. Get it all out. This is the perfect platform to do it. You might as well just get it all out. So I want to show, a lot of you may or may not know who Tariq Nasheed is, but he is someone I was following for a while. Actually, when I first got into understanding a lot of these ins and outs about all these things years ago, he was the first person I actually listened to. And since then, the types of people and YouTubers and other speakers and activists I've spoken to has grown. So I do got to give Tariq Nasheed his props. Watching his Hidden Colors documentaries totally changed my perspective on a lot of things that I just did not know. So I got to give him props for that. So one of the things I was talking to my brother, and one of the things that I have a problem with, he was asking me about what's up with the mayor, right? What's up with the mayor? What's up with the mayor of Minneapolis? He seemed like empathetic and sympathetic to what was going on, but let me show you what he did. This is all some bullshit. Let me show you what he did. That's another video of that guy, Agent Provocateur. This is what Minneapolis looks like. And don't be burning down no black businesses. What I mean, you shouldn't be burning shit down, but spare the black businesses. I mean, come on. I mean, what is this looting shit? Fuck all that looting shit. Now that's some coward shit. That's some pussy shit. Do not loot. Burning shit up. They burn the fuck out of AutoZone. Insane. But you know what? I don't want to hear that argument. Why do black folks destroy their communities? Blah, blah, blah. You want to guess how many black folks actually own those businesses in those communities? I'm going to throw a percentage out there. I don't know. What, maybe 5 to 10% of the businesses? They're not losing anything. but the wrath is going to be felt. And then the black conservatives. Yeah, the black conservatives be killing me on this. They do represent. They do reminisce. We got, and that's another thing. You got African, well, not all Africans, but you got Africans, you got islanders trying to diffuse the energy, trying to shame black folks, talking all that bullshit, but don't have an understanding. Don't have an understanding of what we go through. And that's why there's a separation between islanders and, Africans and foundational blacks. We should all work together, but there is even a division among us and a diffusing of energy in a co-option, because it's hard to tell. In this society, if you look black, you're black. But not all thought patterns are the same. Now, let's take a look at this. This is Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis. I was talking to my brother, and he's like, that guy does seem a bit legit when I was at the gym yesterday. Like, he legit cares. But when he did this, I'm like, this is some bullshit. This is some show. This is just like, what? Just watch.
President Andrea Jenkins, who has been a tremendous leader. Amazing grace, how sweet is the sound. Vice President Andrea.
So this motherfucker. Let's pacify the blacks. Let's get one of their own. Fucking scratch that. Let's get a black trans city council member to sing a Negro spiritual to show solidarity with the blacks. What kind of bullshit is that? What kind of fuck shit is that? The fuck out of here. The fuck? What kind of shit is that? And let's hear this bullshit. Let's hear why they called the police on him. This is that shit I'm talking about. We'll play the audio. Fuck it.
Let's try to make up for lost time.
No, we're not. Just play the video. But let's hear from the store owner's words why the police were called. Let's hear this.
Now by Mahmoud Abu Mayali, who goes by Mike, and he owns Cup Foods, with his three brothers, and Jamar Nelson, who runs their media relations.
Of course, surrounded by blacks.
I really appreciate it. So, Mike, as we saw what was happening there, these pictures, what's going on in this area, it's a terrible scene to watch. This whole tragic incident began.
Yeah, this craziness.
A staff member confronted George Floyd when he tried to use a counterfeit $20 bill. Can you give us more details about what happened?
After one of our staff identified the $20 bill was fake, Floyd was actually out of the establishment and outside. My staff called the police, doing a practice protocol. When the police arrived, Floyd was still outside, and that's when they approached him.
Sheesh.
And I want to make sure we get all this straight. A family member later witnessed a police officer kneeling on Floyd's neck, tried to intervene. Tell us about what he saw.
He approached one of the officers, asking him to take his knee off his neck because he cannot breathe. He pushed him over the curb and pushed him again past the curb, as it shows on the video.
So, Mike, new videos out today. It appears to show Floyd didn't resist, and at least the video that we
Of course not.
We're waiting now. The body cam video, it has been released, and we're seeing it as reviewing it now. But from the video that we saw, this
But you guys get the point, because I don't want to get copyright striked. You guys get the point. All over a $20 counterfeit bill. If I had a $20 counterfeit bill, I wouldn't be able to know it was counterfeit. And wow, I didn't know there was someone else died in Tallahassee. Straight killed that man. What? Let's hear what this guy has to say.
I will say that it's a violation of my ethics to talk and evaluate evidence before we announce our charging decision, and I will not do that. I will say this, that video is graphic and horrific and terrible, and no person should do that. But my job in the end is to prove that he violated a criminal statute, and there is other evidence that does not support a criminal charge. We need to wait through all of that evidence to come through with a meaningful determination, and we are doing that to the best of our ability. Okay. Just say.
Can't even hear it, what they're asking.
General of the state of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, is bringing. I'm bringing the same message of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. We have to do this right. We have to prove it in a court of law. And I will just point to you the comparison to what happened in Billy in Baltimore and the Gray case. It was a rush to charge. It was a rush to justice. And all of those people were found not guilty. I will not rush to justice. I'm going to do this right. And those folks who know me in the African community know I will do my very level best. But I will not rush justice because justice cannot be rushed.
Okay. More ops pretending to be protesters. I mean, they're standing like cops. You guys get the point. You guys get the point. Let's. So yeah, let's look at what Trump's ass said. I'm gonna put this up on the screen for everybody. Oh, actually, it's probably in this article. Okay. No. New York, I get it. You're struggling. I get it. Hold on. Because I'd be interested to check this article out. Hold on, let me see. I mean, I get it. Y'all gotta stay viable. I get it. Continue without subscription. Thanks. I just want that article that I wanted. Maybe later. Give me that article. There we go. All right. Looting comment from Trump dates back to racial unrest in 1960s. A phrase the president tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," was used by Miami police chief, widely condemned by civil rights groups. Washington, incendiary phrase used by President Trump in the tweet about the protests over George Floyd's death in Minneapolis appears to have originated in a 1967 news conference held by the Miami police chief, long accused of using racist tactics in his forces patrols of black neighborhoods. Mr. Trump, in a tweet after midnight on Friday, called the protesters of Minneapolis thugs and said that when looting starts, shooting starts. The phrase was used prominently by Walter E. Headley, Miami's former police chief, in 1967, as he pledged the no-holds-barred response on the Christmas season outbreak of violent crime in the black neighborhoods that had left 3 people dead in attempted robberies. Mr. Headley suggested that his department's tough tactics had kept Miami calm that year, even as race riots were convulsing dozens of other cities, leaving scores dead. "We haven't had any serious problems with civil uprisings, looting, because I've let the word filter down that when looting starts, shooting starts. We don't mind being accused of police brutality. They haven't seen anything yet." Damn. Hours after Trump posted his tweet, which was widely criticized for inciting violence, he tweeted about the matter again, saying in part, "Looting leads to shooting, and that's why a man was shot and killed in Minneapolis on Wednesday night." He added, "I don't want this to happen. That's what the expression put out last night meant." Bro. All these dog whistles, man. Asked by a reporter at an afternoon news conference whether he was aware of the racist history of the phrase, Mr. Trump said that he'd heard it for years, but he said he was not aware that it had been used by Mr. Headley. Mr. Headley bolstered patrols of black neighborhoods with a so-called task force of 3 officer patrol cars and 5 more cars carrying police dogs. The shotgun-equipped officers were authorized under the city's stop and frisk law to detain and search anyone deemed suspicious without warrant. "This is war," he said. "I mean it, every bit of it." What the fuck? The chief said his crackdown was aimed at the 10% of black people in Miami who he called young hoodlums, 15 to 21, who have been taking advantage of civil rights campaign to commit crimes with seeming impunity. But national and local rights leaders immediately denounced his remarks. Floyd McKissick, the chair of the Congress of Racial Equality, charged that Mr. Hadley was setting up the first fascist state of Miami. Definitely. The president of Miami chapter of NAACP, Dr. George Simpson, expressed fear that the chief was directing his force to revert the law enforcement practices of 15, 20 years ago when too many instances to be black was guilty. The field secretary of the group's Florida chapter, Marvin Davies, said, "This man has no place in a position of public trust." Mr. Headley repeated the phrase the following August in response to protests of a predominantly black Liberty City neighborhood during the 1968 Republican National Convention, which was being held in Miami. Criticized for not returning from a vacation to address the situation, he said of his officers, "They know what to do. When the looting starts, the shooting starts." Disgusting. This ain't new, everybody. I don't ever want to hear anyone ever again. They shouldn't have been saying it in the first place. I don't hear anyone ever again say it's 2020, racism is over. It's not over. It's not over. But again, this isn't a black and white thing, even though it often plays like that. What it is it is a white supremacy problem. A white supremacy problem interwoven into the fabric of society. That's the issue. That is the issue. White supremacy is the issue. These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd. I won't let that happen. Like you motherfucking care. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. You can't give this dude a pass, man. Sheesh. Okay. Let's take a look at this too. So, what do I mean by white supremacy is the issue? This is a very nice diagram that I think explains everything very, very well. Okay. So, hopefully, you guys can see that. I'll try to zoom. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. So, let's break this down in very simple terms, simple words. The system of white supremacy is interwoven into the fabric of America and other countries all around the world, right? You have situations where folks believe the lighter they are, the better they are. The more privileged they are, the more opportunities they have. This can be found in India. This can be found in Latin America. This can be found in Spain. This can be found all across the planet, right? So the system of white supremacy. Okay, so let's take this. Let's take a micro to macro look. So you have the racist man, racist woman. Now, what is their relation? Their relation is that they impose racist acts. Now, they are helped on a mutual level by white supremacist jury members. Again, remember, we're supposed to be tried with a jury of our peers. But if your peers are white supremacists, there's no way you can get a fair trial. They're also enabled in relation by and supported, or I'm going to use enabled on the same level and supported by a higher level of organization. So they are enabled by white supremacist social media trolls, right? That reinforce the racist man, racist woman, and the white supremacist jury members enable them to continue the acts to go unabashed. Then we're going to go ahead and look at what supports the. Actually, let's go from the top down. Sorry. So the system of white supremacy is an overarching, almost an intangible cloud. It's a thing that permeates the entire planet. Now, where is it? So you have white supremacist codes, right? Codes, dog whistles, those are passed down. The codes of white supremacy, if you've read the ISIS papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, you understand that white supremacy is a need to secure genetic survival and maintain power in all areas of social activity. So with the system of white supremacy to the left, you have white supremacist politicians and lawmakers. This is what creates and helps promulgate the environment of advantageous white supremacy. To the right, you have a relation of white supremacist judges. So in order for these, you can make the laws, but if the laws are not enforced by the judges, the system crumbles. So the judges have to be white supremacists and leanings to keep the laws afoot. Okay. So let's go back to white supremacist politician and lawmakers. Below that, those have to maintain and promote the mainstream media that protects racists. So with the laws and things of that nature, their relation is to go ahead and have the media parrot the laws, to promote the laws. If you make laws, people have to know about them in order to enforce them. These are like marching orders. After you go down to the mainstream media that protects racists, that's when we get back to the white supremacist social media trolls. You have your Breitbarts. I think you have your Fox Newses. And it's not just Republicans and conservatives that are racist, white supremacists. It's on both sides, Democrat, whoever, two sides of the same coin, right? So let's go click back over to white supremacist judge, right? And the white supremacist judges that are passing down these sentences, they're enabled, and these things are brought up by white supremacist prosecutors. These judges support these prosecutors. Take a look at Kamala Harris, right? And right, oh, she's black. White supremacist lean put a lot of black folks in jail. She prides herself on that. Her record is about what she's done in California, which is has done nothing to help us. So white supremacist prosecutors. That's why it's really hard for, what's the term? The attorneys, public defenders to beat these prosecutors. The public defenders are overworked and thus oftentimes do not provide the type of counsel that those that can't afford their own attorneys can provide. So not only is the deck stacked with the white supremacist judges, but the prosecutors are aiming to put you in jail. And then that goes down to the white supremacist jury members. Again, it's supposed to be peers. You're supposed to be tried by a jury of your peers, but we all know how that turns out, especially when the prosecutors can pick and choose who they want in the jury stand. So they're looking for certain type of things, as all attorneys are. Now let's go straight down the middle. After you have the white supremacist codes, you got to have people that enforce those codes. This is the judicial enforcement of the codes with the judges and the politicians and lawmakers. But you need the physical. You need the physical proponent there, and that's the race soldiers pretending to be cops. As stated, and I'm going to pull this up because this is very important. Let's see here. FBI, white supremacists. FBI, white supremacists infiltrate law enforcement. I want to show you guys this because this has been on the books for a minute. I mean, this is this is from the State Department, and they've been saying this for a minute. White supremacist infiltration doc. Is this it? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to come back to that, but let's look at this. This is exactly what it looks like. This is the white supremacist infiltration of law enforcement. This came out back in 2006 from the intelligence prepared by FBI Counterterrorism Division. Okay. So in a nutshell, it's going to just give you a primer of exactly what it is. Let's see here. Okay. Key judgments. This is what the document extenuates, or what it says. Let me see if I can I zoom that in? Sorry if you guys can't see that. I would want to zoom it. But anyway, it says, although white supremacist groups have historically engaged in strategic efforts to infiltrate and recruit from law enforcement communities, the primary threat from infiltration or recruitment arises from the areas of intelligence collection and exploitation. Zoom bottom right if off screen. Oh, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, so I'll repeat. The primary threat from infiltration or recruitment arises from the areas of intelligence collection and exploitation, which can lead to investigative breaches and can jeopardize the safety of law enforcement sources and personnel. White supremacist presence among law enforcement personnel is a concern due to the access they may possess to restricted areas of vulnerable to sabotage and to elected officials or protected persons whom they could see as potential targets for violence. The intelligence acquired through the successful infiltration of law enforcement by one white supremacist group can benefit other groups due to multiple allegiances white supremacists typically hold. Introduction to the consequences of compromised information and intelligence. So basically, he was just saying that white supremacist groups have infiltrated law enforcement on multiple different levels. And as such, that is where you get this, race soldiers pretending to be cops, as well as white supremacist police unions. if the very people that are supposed to be serving and protecting everyone have a inherent bias and have stacked the deck, there are going to be, as we know, disproportional arrests for the same crimes, offenses, and even seemingly benign situations. They are the police. Not all of them, but a huge amount of them. Enough that the FBI had to do a report on counterterrorism back in 2006. So that was 2006. That was 14 years ago. Think of how much that's grown now. All of these systems of white supremacy enable everyone. It trickles down right here. Yeah, not long ago. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and Hatch should have the link. Let's go ahead and get Hatch on so we can answer some of those questions, ask some of those questions, and discuss this a bit. But the link is in the chat as well, but I also sent it to you on Facebook. And again, we're very respectful of everybody's points of view, whether they're different or the same. That's how we have dialogues. That's how we go through these things and make heads or tails of all of this. I'm walking my dog at the moment. Okay. Well, we'll have him on at some point, but that's essentially what that is. So I just think that's something worth considering. Because let's see here. I guess that was just about all of the photos that I have. I do like seeing people come together. And, if it's not for, one reason, it's for another. Because it's crazy. Now, percentage-wise, you got to think, what makes it seem like a lot of black folks are getting killed, which there are, is because of the population disparity, right? So if more constant and favored argument that white supremacists like to make is that more white people get killed by police than black people. Well, for the most part, white people are 70% of the population, and quote unquote black folks are 13% of the population. Yet the disparities are very, very similar in how many that actually get killed. So to say that white folks are getting killed by police more is technically true, but we got to look at proportion based on population percentage. And that's where the fact that they're even close is an issue. And we see that from an economic point of view where these things happen. And it is sad. Again, like I said, this is not a white versus black thing. It is a white supremacy interwoven society thing based off of what I've shown you all here in this easy to understand method. Now, what we all need to do, black folks, you can't, like I said, I hate to say this, but it's true. You can't be looking for any handouts from white folks. It's just not going to happen. You can't look for any, and not just white folks, but any other group. You can't expect them to do anything that is not in their best interests. Now, there are going to be some people that are altruistic. There are going to be people that do things just because it's the right thing to do. And God bless those people. But those people, it's not their jobs to save us. It's our jobs to save us. There will be no reparations, okay? That's not going to happen. We have to create our own reparations. We have to love and care about ourselves and create the world that we want within this fucked up menagerie of hate, insanity, and chaos. And it's strange to say that once we achieve that, once we achieve the help that we needed so long from others by ourselves, others will want to come to the table. And it's a sad sort of commentary on how people are in regards to everybody loves a winner. Everybody wants to drain resources. Everybody wants to get over on everybody, it seems. And it's not until you say no or that's enough that people actually respect you and acquiesce. It's a strange dynamic in situation, and not necessarily something that we want in any capacity. So there are a lot of different things. So, like I said, I know this is a very negative subject, but it's something that needed to be talked about. A lot of people have requested it. So, that's what we're doing here. That's why we're doing it. Like I said, I do have solutions. I've written it down. I want to get feedback from everyone else in the community. Like I said, we'll meet up and discuss these different things. But I'm coming up with a code and a plan that should mitigate a lot of these things, and get us back on track. And again, this is how we need to operate, okay? As Black folks, we need to operate from the aspect that we need to operate. We need to be selfish, right? We need to be selfish with our intellectual property. We need to be selfish with our imports and our contributions. And we need to take all of the greatest things and aspects about ourselves, capitalize that, grow that, and build that within our own community. And, if people want it, instead of giving it away free, sell it, just like every other group, ethnicity, lobbyist group, nationality does. The game should be sold, not told. And for the longest time, Black folks have been telling the game, giving it freely, because that's in our nature. It's in our nature to give freely, to help those that don't have it. There's a reason why it seems like Black folks are always losing, because in our nature and in our heart, it's never to co-opt or screw anybody over. A lot of those things that happen in our community is learned behavior, and we have to take responsibility for that. But we also have to take responsibility. We have to understand where it's coming from and understand that it wasn't supposed to be this way. It is this way, and we have to do something about it, because it's not just going to magically disappear. Another thing is there's going to need to be a renewal of faith here, right? I'm a Christian. I believe Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins. That's what I believe. And that doesn't make me weak. That doesn't make me not woke. That doesn't make me a whole bunch of other things. What it does is it gives me the strength to move forward, the strength to not let anyone fuck me, the strength to use the lessons that are within the Bible, within my heart, allow me to talk to God and make the decisions that I need to make that are good for my family. And you are all my family. And I want the same for you all. Let me see here. But yes, another thing, there's not going to be any race war, all right? I know a lot of people have been wanting that. A lot of people have been speculating, gearing up for that. It's not a race war. It's not a white versus black thing. It's about the system that's in place that has made it, or that is pushing the narrative that it's a white and black thing. It's not about that. It's not about that. Now, I get it. Let's look at this from a different angle, right? I'm going to take a white supremacist angle. Let me do that. Let me go ahead and try to think like a white supremacist. This is going to be very hard for me. But let me try to get into the mindset. And let's just talk this through and see how and why I would do this. What would I do if I was a white supremacist in regards to maintaining power and keeping genetic annihilation from happening? Let's see here. Let's consider. Man, I'll have to take a shower after this one. The first thing one needs to do to get into the mindset of being a white supremacist is consider the following. Again, all this is predicated, and if you haven't read the book, I suggest you do. It's called The ISIS Papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. It breaks down the mental and psychological impact in understanding of where these motivations or where these things come from. So what's the issue? It boils down to two things. One thing, really: genetic annihilation and power. There's a fear of genetic annihilation by white people. Or you don't have to just say white people, people that have a lack of melanin, right? So we all know what happens when you put white paint and black paint together. It becomes black. It all eventually goes back to black. So what happens when races start to mix? The gene pool of those that are non-melanated become melanated, but the world starts to change. The dynamic starts to change. The economics start to change. The politics start to change. All these things start to change. With a negative birth rate as it is, there's not enough reproducing. So if I'm a white supremacist and I know that we have a negative birth rate and we need to aggregate power, we need to continue to stay in control. There's going to be fewer of us. The Hispanics are outnumbering us. The blacks, even with all the abortion that they're doing, they're still, having a huge population increase. The Africans are going to be some of the biggest, one of the biggest populations in the world. We thought it was going to be India, but it's actually going to be Africa. So if I was a white supremacist in America, that's a whole nother video if we go worldwide. But in America, what can I do? Well, first, let's see. These people that we quote unquote brought over, well, these objects, these products that we brought over, these cattle that we brought over and bred, I will never accept them as equals. If I'm a white supremacist, I'll never accept them. I don't care how many generations happen, I will never accept them. But I understand that there's a level of cruelty that I cannot display outwardly, for it hinders my money and power aggregation. So what I would need to do is create an infrastructure that takes me physically and consciously having to exert racism and prejudice. The system needs to do that on its own. And if I can create a system that holds down a group of people or cattle without me having, pretty much it's like automated racism. If I can automate this racism and distance myself from it, I can then say it's just the way things are. It's just how society works. I didn't personally do anything. I'm so far removed from racism, or, my parents never owned slaves. All these other different things. My parents are second generation Italian, first generation Spaniard, third generation Hungarian, things like that. Second generation Irish. My parents never owned slaves. So, I don't have any sort of white guilt about that. The system's going to always promote the most advantageous situation for me, whilst keeping a group down that we don't feel should ever be on par with us. To us, it's like a dog sitting at the table. Now, we love the dog. The dog is great. The dog sometimes doesn't do what we want, but we love the dog to death. The dog is an integral part of our life. But the dog is not a person. And sometimes we have to remind the dog that the dog is a dog. Even though we let the dog sleep in our bed, even though we let the dog sit at the table, even though we let the dog, bark and we talk back to it, we have to remind the dog it's a dog. You got to yank that leash sometimes. We got to neuter that dog sometimes. That's the relationship between white supremacy and black people in the United States. See, the dog brings joy. The dog brings feelings. The dog, in some cases, brings wealth and happiness. But it is my dog. And now I've decided that for my own betterment, I can no longer own my dog. But I want the dog to still regard me as an owner, because that is the relationship and dynamic that I am used to. And that's how it should always be. There should never be a point where dogs rise up, walk on two legs, and become autonomous. There should never be a situation where a dog stops being my pet, my best friend, being my owned object, and then can tell me what to do, can tell me I'm wrong, can tell me I am not in control anymore. The same, and I hate to use this analogy, but, and I hate to use that analogy, but I'm trying to break this down very easy. You look at the movie of the Planet of the Apes. Come on, guys. The Planet of the Apes, all of the movies, is basically a white supremacist nightmare. Okay? That's what it is. I watched the most recent Planet of the Apes, actually. And the whole time seeing everything that went down, I'm like, man, not that the apes look like black people, but the struggle was reminiscent. The apes got a level of intelligence and sentiency that made them not only on par, but smarter and more of a threat to the human population. The human population was dying from all the disease that the apes were immune to. So as the apes numbers were growing, the humans numbers were going smaller. Now, the humans had more significant and superior technology, but the apes had the numbers. The apes had the intelligence. The apes were no longer easily dominable. And in the end, the apes take over. Now, there's some good apes just like there's some good humans. But that was a commentary on the relationship between black people and white supremacy, or melanated people and non-melanated people. Take a look at South Africa, right? There's no way that small amount of white South Africans should have been able to maintain that level of power over millions and millions and millions of native-born indigenous Africans. There's no way. But it is the pervasive mindset of white supremacy that can tell somebody that's family's been there for hundreds, 200, 300 years, thousands of years, that they can't go across the street because that area is owned by these people. Far be it from me to say or to admit that land was your parents' land, your grandparents' land, your great-grandparents' land, your great-great-great-grandparents' land. Fuck all that. I'm going to enforce these boundaries. I'm going to carve up Africa. We know all you tribes don't get along, but you know what? We're going to carve up Africa, carve up the resources, and that's why you have a lot of these conflicts. That's why the Congo's all fucked up and all these different places in Africa. It's not all hellholes, but there's a lot of tribal fighting because you had an invading force that drew new boundaries and put people with people that shouldn't be there in the first place, or that had predetermined land and outset. So whenever there's land fighting, land issues, there's always war, there's always blood. But sorry, that was getting into the whole macro white supremacist world view. Point is, that's a whole nother video on its own. It's a trip. Anyway, George Floyd. It's sad to see what happened. It just reminds us of every time a black person dies and we hear about it on TV in a senseless and a horrible and horrific way. It reminds people of their own mortality. Think about having a family member die, a grandma, a dad, a brother, a sister, a mother, a niece, a nephew. Whenever you go to that funeral, you think about your life, you think about your own mortality. Now, if you think that way when you're faced with death of a family member, consider that feeling. Remember that feeling. Think back on that feeling. For black people, whenever we see one of our own die like that, because we're such a tight-knit, spiritually knit group of people, we feel it. We empathize it on a level that others seemingly can't. It's on such a deep level. It gets to the root of us. And black folks are reminded of their mortality not every day, but way more than everyone else. The media reinforces it. Again, mainstream media reinforces it. The laws reinforce it. The police reinforce it. It's in social media. It's reinforced by fucking strangers, jury members, prosecutors, judges. The whole system reinforces the mortality of black people on a near daily basis. And that does something to your mental state. See, a little understanding of your mortality every now and again is good. Helps you keep things in perspective. But when it's done near constantly every day, when you can't escape it, that does something to you mentally. A lot of black folks don't seek mental help because one way or another, it's a stigma in our community. But if anyone needs mental regard or help, it's black folks. Because again, it's not just what we go through on a daily basis, what we've been through. Again, it's that epigenetic memory as well. All that's got to be cleared out. I don't believe in reincarnation and shit, but if reincarnation was real, black folks would never get out of the cycle of rebirth with the type of shit that's going on. It's crazy. But in any event, the point is there's a lot of positive things that are going to happen and come of this. Hope black folks mobilize together, bring their money together, bring their resources together, have a greater regard for each other's lives, do the right things, stand firm, learn self-defense, get weapons, protect themselves, their loved ones. If you see a black person on the side of the road or get stopped by the police, you don't have to stay the whole time, but you pull over and you stand there and let your presence be known so they don't try anything. See, when people are not being watched, they do some fucked up shit. That's why a lot of crimes happen at night during the dark because people don't think they're watching them. So the worst elements of people happen when other people aren't watching. So if you see someone get pulled over and their brother, their sister, pull over too. Like I said, you don't got to stay the whole time, but they need to know that someone's got their back, even if a stranger. And love each other. Care about each other. And let's all get on code. Again, I'll be coming up with a code, and I hope everyone gets on board with it. And we're going to make it happen. Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be a pandemic, right? But it's not going to be a virus. It's going to be an economic pandemic. I'm just going to let you guys know that now. Not going to tell you when, but It's going to be, things are going to change, so be prepared for that. Hold on to your butts. And yeah, I might come back tomorrow, do a bigger panel, but I have a nice birthday party to go to celebrate with a loved one. I love her very much. Happy birthday, Erica. I will see you soon. Love you very much. And let's just bring more positivity and love to the world. Again, it's not a white versus black thing. It's a white supremacy issue thing. White people aren't the problem. Black people aren't the problem. The system is the problem. And if you're silent and you don't do anything against the system and you benefit from the system, you're tacitly consenting to the dysfunction. And Black folks, if we can't seem to learn to work together, care about each other, and regard each other and value each other's lives, this cycle will continue. I want us all to win, and there's no reason we can't. I love you all. This is Real Talk, Real People. As always, keep it real. Context is everything. And we are absolutely and unequivocally done. But we are not out. Not yet.